Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City FanTV. I want to say a massive thank you to Matt and Keg from the Magpie Channel TV for inviting me on to answer some questions prior to this weekend's game against Newcastle. So Matt sent over some questions and I sent over some questions to Matt, and we've got Keg on the channel answering those questions. But Matt's questions to me, the first one was, can you still win the league? I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to be a tough ask, if I'm honest, this season, mate. We are currently 9 points behind Liverpool, and we're at the end of November. We've done it before. The only thing that's the saving grace is we've done it before against United. We did it last season against Liverpool. If you think late December, we were 7 points behind Liverpool. And then after the defeat to you guys, and towards the end of January, we then won our remaining 14 games of the season to win the title again with 98 points. So can we do it? Yes, I still believe we can do it. The one thing what gives me belief is the fact that we'll have key players coming back sometime late January in Aymeric Laporte, possibly Leroy Sané. I can't see him moving in January. He might move in the summer, but hopefully he'll be back as well. And plus that period, we are going into the next round of the Champions League, and we've also got the cup competitions as well. So that's when, that time of year, sort of February time, is when it really starts testing your squad depth. Now, so far this season, Liverpool have been brilliant, and they've had very, very few injuries where we're hamstrung at the moment, to phrase a pun. So I think as long as we keep winning and keeping as close as possible to Liverpool, and let's not forget Leicester as well, and Chelsea are in the mix. As long as we can keep close to Liverpool over the festive period and throughout January, then that final run-in really does, it really does tell. So Liverpool bottled it last year. We are notoriously brilliant at coming from behind. Pep will have them fit and firing and ready to go. Will it be enough this season, the way Liverpool are going? I'm not too sure, if I'm honest. Can we do it? Yes, of course we can. I think if it goes to 12 points, the gap, let's say, for example, if you guys were to beat us at the weekend, then I think it's going to make it absolutely nigh on impossible. But while it's still mathematically there, definitely City fans, I'm sure, believe that come the beginning of next year, when things really start to tell, then of course Manchester City can do it yet again, because we've done it twice already. Okay, question 2 from Matt and Keg is, why didn't you replace Vincent Kompany at the end of last season? Well, I think we're certainly asking ourselves the same question right now, mate, if I'm being honest. Difficult one. One, obviously financial fair play. We had to be very careful. But then on the flip side of that, we did sign Joao Cancelo, and 60 million quid with Danilo going in the opposite direction. For me, I said it so many times on the vlogs, when fan cams and things like that, I just didn't get the Cancelo purchase. I still don't get it, if I'm honest. A centre-back was an absolute must, but I'm sure at the beginning of the season we thought, well, we've got Aymeric Laporte, who's absolutely world-class. We weren't expecting Laporte to get injured. We had John Stones and Otamendi. We also had Eric Garcia as well. We could potentially play 3 at the back and bring Walker in. But again, I just don't understand. It all comes down to the purchase of Cancelo for me. I just didn't get it, because Danilo was an able right back, a very good right back, versatile player who could also play at centre back and left back and in a defensive midfield role as well. So we were sniffing obviously around Harry Maguire, but then when I think the rumours were around about £70 million was initially quoted to Manchester City, City looked at it and just said, no chance, not with the wages as well that he was demanding. And of course, because City was sniffing around a player, Manchester United came in as usual, and I think he eventually went for 85 million. I just don't think City were prepared to pay that, and we're not that type of club anymore. We were doing that in the early days when we needed to invest heavily, sometimes in some average purchase, poor purchases, Mangalas and things like that. But we don't need to do that anymore. We're not a club that will be held to ransom. We certainly don't pay over the odds for players or over the odds in wages. It's well structured, and so is it now, as a City fan looking back, the wrong decision? Absolutely. At the time, we probably thought we would get away with it. Laporte gets injured. He's out until probably the end of January. Now, with hindsight, which is always easy in retrospect to look back on something like that, you think, big mistake. Will we replace Vincent Kompany? I don't think we can replace somebody like that. I think we're missing his leadership skills more than anything at the moment, massively. Not only on the pitch, but around the place as well, around the team, in the dressing room, on the training pitch, because he was just he led by example, and he wouldn't allow anybody not to give 100% in everything that they did at the club. And I'm not too sure the way some of the players' body languages this season has been in certain games, whether, you know, that is as much a miss as him being on the pitch. Because let's face it, after the Newcastle game, I think Kompany was out last season. I think Kompany was out for like 4 or 5 games, and then he came back towards the end of the season. And I think, if I remember rightly, he played, I think it was 9 games out of the final 11. 2 of those, one, I think he was on the bench, and another he was injured. But he was pivotal in that running when we won the title last season. And obviously that goal against Leicester just cemented his place in Manchester City history. So for me, is he a miss? Absolutely. Not so much for just on the pitch, but his leadership skills around the squad, the dressing room, the training pitch, etc. Will we replace him? I think we probably might go in for somebody in January. I don't think it'll be a massive outlay on a big player. Nobody wants to move in January if they're at a club that's still in the Champions League. But it could be a loan signing or something like that, just as a little bit of cover, because hopefully Pep will be looking to keep on Liverpool's coattails until the likes of Laporte is back. And yeah, I guess we'll see. But was it a mistake in hindsight? Yeah, probably. Okay, question 3 for Matt and Keg that they've asked me is, how can Newcastle beat Manchester City on Saturday? Well, you beat us last year, last season, sorry, 2-1. One thing you've got in your favour is that Sergio Aguero, as you know, loves scoring against Newcastle. He's not out. He's not playing. He's out injured. So he's going to be out for at least 2-3 weeks, which is going to be a big miss. We've got Gabby Jesus coming in. Is Gabby Jesus at a level of Aguero? Probably not. But I think it's going to be difficult for you. But I think I always say, certainly looking at the way this season City have played and the games that we've lost, if we turn up thinking that we're just going to get 3 points, it doesn't generally turn out that way. Wolves, we were extremely poor. Norwich had a bit of good fortune in that defeat. When we've also had the draw against Spurs, which we were unfortunate with. Obviously, Liverpool, the VAR done us on a couple of occasions, but no excuses. I think on occasions this season, it looks like it's after the Lord Mayor's show. You know, our 2 seasons back to back, very tight, very difficult seasons, where we won both titles with 198 points. I think it's possibly taken a little bit of something out of the team. Pep needs to get that back into them as quickly as possible, because I think its attitude and application is the 2 key things that have led us to get beat 3 times and draw this season so far. So for you guys, how can you beat us? Well, I would suggest obviously the defence also. We've been very inconsistent with our selection, and I think that's been a problem as well. With every game, it seems to be different right backs, different centre backs, and I don't think that really helps the squad. So left back, Angelino. Will Mendy play? I'm not too sure. Will Angelino play? You can get behind the back of Angelino with pace. We saw that the other night against Shakhtar. So that could be an area to look at. But I'm hopeful Ben Mendy will be back for the game at the weekend. And on the other side, Kyle Walker. That brings sort of 2 sides with decent pace. Who will play at centre back? I'm not too sure. I'm hoping this time it's 2 proper centre backs, as in Otamendi and John Stones, and maybe give Werner a run back at central defensive midfield. But it's going to be difficult, I think, for you guys. I'll be honest with you, because we've got so much attacking intent. Kevin De Bruyne is now starting to hit a little bit of form. Bernardo Silva, will he play, won't he play? Will Riyad Mahrez come back after a great goal last game against Chelsea? So I think the targeting of getting behind the back of the left back area has always been our Achilles heels until we get a proper left back who can defend. I think that's the area that you should be looking at. Okay, the fourth question from Matt and Keg was, is Aguero a huge miss or is Jesus good enough? Good question. Is he a huge miss? Absolutely. Has he been at his absolute best this season? Not for the last few games. He's looked like he's still carrying a knock, even though at the beginning of the season, after he had some surgery towards the end of last season, and said that his knee felt better than ever. I'm not too sure. I still think the last few games he's been carrying something, and as we now know, he picked up that injury against Chelsea, which is going to keep him out for 2-3 weeks. So, but I mean, Sergio Aguero is absolutely world class, one of the best strikers the Premier League has ever seen. I mean, if you look at his stats so far this season in the Premier League alone, 12 matches, 9 goals, 2 assists. I mean, that is top class, figures for a striker. Gabby, on the other hand, has played 10 matches. He's got 3 goals and 1 assist. And the difference between the two players is that Gabby brings you tons of energy. Is he as clinical as Sergio Aguero? No, definitely not. But he does bring another sort of dynamism to the team. I'd still rather have Aguero, especially with his track record against Newcastle. And, Gabby's got a long way to go yet. He's still only young, where Sergio maybe has hit probably just over that curve of where he is from a footballing point of view. And he's just brilliant, though. And he can turn a game on its head. Within 20 minutes, he could have a hat-trick. That's how good he is. I don't see that with Gabby. That's the difference between the two. But Gabby will bring that energy and enthusiasm. The other thing I want to say is that on Gabby's side, he rarely gets a run of games. When we've seen him get a run of 3-4 games, I think last season he got 5 in 4. So he's not getting that at Manchester City. So hopefully now with Aguero out, the pressure is off a little bit. He can relax rather than snapping at shots and pulling at shots when he could take his time and be a little bit more composed. Hopefully this time it just takes a little bit of weight off his shoulders, knowing, if he does all right, he'll keep his place. It won't be the usual, well, I've had a good game, and next game, well, Sergio's back in. So fingers crossed for Gabby, because I do like him. I think he gives the team a lot of energy. But it'll be interesting to see how he plays on Saturday against you guys. And the last 2 questions from Keg and Matt was thoughts on Newcastle and Steve Bruce so far, and also my score prediction for this weekend. Well, I'll be honest with you, I've not watched a great deal of Newcastle. I'm not one of these fans who watch every game, every Premier League game, all the other teams and things like that. I don't tend to do it. Far too busy for that type of thing. But what I do is, obviously, we do the Premier League predictions each week and on the channel. And looking back on your last 5 games, a loss, a draw, a win. You had a couple of good wins and then another loss last week. Sort of shows it's that inconsistency. The only other point, I mean, you're down in 14th on 15 points, but my one big concern for you guys is the fact that you have only scored 11 goals and conceded 20 with a -9. Aston Villa, who are a place below you, are on -1. And you look going up the table, Brighton -4, Bournemouth -1. I think the problem being is that you're conceding too many and certainly not scoring enough goals. But Steve Bruce, I don't know what the expectations were. Obviously, he's been brought into Newcastle, is a local lad, so I'm sure he has a certain amount of respect from the fans because he is a local guy. But he's not the best manager in the world, if I'm being honest with you. What would the expectations be after Rafa Benitez? For me, looking from the outside in, I would suggest if you finished in, 14th, 15th, where you are now,
I would guess that'd just be a season that is sort of average and where we should be. I really cannot see you finishing in the top 10. Not under Steve Bruce. Under Rafa Benitez, maybe. Under Steve Bruce, no. And I think if you were possibly even going to survive relegation this year, you might look at that as successful. But I think it all comes down, I think it's a Mike Ashley signing, if I'm being honest. And it's, will he give him money to spend? Who knows? But I think you do need investment in there. So as far as Steve Bruce and Newcastle, I'll be honest with you. I think if he keeps you up, he's done an all right job. But until you get new owners in and you get a real proper manager that you guys absolutely deserve with the support and fan base you've got up there, I think you're always going to be flirting with relegation. Or you might get relegated, have a great season in the Championship and come back up. And I think you're going to be a bit of a yo-yo team until Ashley's gone. A proper investor comes in and you get yourself a proper manager that you deserve. That's my thoughts on Steve Bruce. On to the score prediction. Well, I've gone for Newcastle 1, Manchester City 3. I don't think it'll be a riot. I don't think City will run away with a 5-0, 6-0, something like that. I just don't see it at all. I think it's going to be a tight game. It might be a close 1-1 at half time, and we may get a couple in the second half or towards the end of the game. I think with the Newcastle fans behind their team at home, it's always difficult. It really is. So, I think it's going to be a tighter game. I don't think 3-1 is going to be a really comfortable 3-1. I think it'll be a close game for large portions of the match. But I'm hopeful City will run out winners by a couple of goals. But anyway, this is Andy from Man City FanTV. I want to say a massive thank you again to Keg and Matt from the Magpie Channel TV. And please, guys, go over and subscribe to their channel. The links to their channel will be in the description below this video. But anyway, this is Andy from Man City FanTV. Good luck on Saturday. We'll see you up there. So come over and have a chat on camera, and we'll have a chat with you for some pre-match fan cams. But take care, guys, and all the best.